Aloha and welcome back to Emergence. I'm Taj Ture. Today our show is about craniosacral therapy and we have two wonderful guests to join us, Dr. David Dinner and Deborah Burnham. Before we begin our show, we'd like to set an intention for the day. So our intention today is to connect with the subtle flow of life force or mana. So let's take a nice deep breath. And fully relax into our being. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce David Dinner, who's here to discuss craniosacral care with us. Aloha, David.
Aloha, Taj.
How are you?
Just great.
It's
Just
so
great.
nice to have you here with us.
It's really good to be here. I appreciate the invitation. Thanks.
You're welcome. So, can you tell us a little bit about how you got involved with craniosacral care?
Well, as you know, I was a periodontist in my previous incarnation a few years back, and retired. I decided that I had done that for 30 years and that was enough, and so I ended up going through a few changes on the mainland and eventually ended up moving to Kauai, where I got involved as a sidelight in massage. And it just so happened that a part of the massage program was cranial work. And
oh, that's great.
so I got drawn into it, and I took a couple of classes here on Kauai that were introductory type classes, and then I decided that I was going to go to the mainland and study with Hugh Milne, who was my teacher, and spent about 5 years studying and getting certified in cranial work. That's kind of a short cranial work is a kind of a shortcut term for craniosacral care.
So can you tell us what craniosacral care is all about?
I'll do my best.
Yes, in just a moment here.
Yeah.
The short version.
The essence of it is that it works with the craniosacral fluid, the fluid that surrounds the brain and the spinal cord. And it's a kind of a closed chamber, and within that fluid there is a pulse that radiates throughout the body, very much like the blood pressure pulse, but more subtle. So this pulse, if you're sensitive, can be picked up on and monitored and affected with different holds or connections with the body.
So this is a subtle touch, a subtle energy touch system.
It is a combination of physical work in that it's based on the field of osteopathy, which is a physical medical treatment work, and energy work, because it deals with the energetics of the body. And it gets into layers beyond the craniosacral pulse. There are other tides and flows in the body that we work with, but the cranial pulse is the basic essence of the work.
So when you talk about, for people who don't know where the sacrum is, you're talking about the fluid that flows from your brain down your spine into your lower back, into the pelvis, all the way into the coccyx, correct?
Right.
Okay, so it goes all the way down, from the top of the head all the way to your coccyx.
To the coccyx, right.
Great.
And it is flowing, but it's not flowing like through a blood vessel.
Right.
It's like contained, and there's a pulse within it.
So it's sending messages to the rest of the body?
It is sending messages. As a matter of fact, there's some strong belief that the cranial fluid is the essential creation fluid for the cells of the body. This is where the message comes through to the body on how to create itself in the embryo.
So now what kind of thing or injury would affect the craniosacral fluid and affect the work that you're doing?
Well, any experience would affect the craniosacral fluid. Our bodies are really a container of memories. So everything that's ever happened to us that is registered in the brain and in the fluids of the body and in the cells of the body. So those memories are held there and stuck there if there is no flow.
Right.
And that's essentially what we're working on, is to move that energy through the body so that there's a good flow of energy.
So then how would you know to come to you? Like what would be going on in a person that they would think of, oh, I should go and get some cranial work done?
Well, people come to me with all kinds of issues. Sometimes they don't even have issues. They want to be connected to a higher level of themselves. But most people come with some form of an issue. They feel stressed, or they've been traumatized, or they have a pain or discomfort of some sort, and they want to feel more peaceful and more comfortable, relieve their suffering. Others will come just to reach a higher level of connection with themselves, because the cranial work seems to unlock some deeper blocks that we have to connecting with ourselves.
Right. Well, I know I went to see you one day and I was having serious neck issues where I had felt like I'd tried different techniques, and I knew that a gentle technique is what I needed, not the chiropractor, which I've been to, nothing like that. And when you worked on me, you put your hands on, actually we were on both sides, on my back and on my, laying on my chest. And I could really feel the release. It was very gentle, and even a few days later it was getting more and more release after the session, which was great for me because I'd had this intense tightness for a few weeks.
You touched on a very interesting quality as you were talking right there, and that is in a sense, the responsibility of the client or the person who has the issue to determine who to go to and how to select that. And there are so many different modalities that sometimes it's hard to choose. But they seem to be separated into two different avenues, so to speak. The chiropractic and the Rolfing, the deeper types of massage.
Right, massage.
Those are manipulative techniques, kind of intentional manipulative techniques that can be very, very powerful in the right circumstance and in the right person. And the person has to decide, is that for them? The other techniques, like craniosacral care, is subtle and gentle and works best with people who tend to be sensitive and aware of what's going on in their bodies. I've seen some people come who don't have that awareness and aren't sensitive, and somehow they open into that.
Yes.
But I must say that's more challenging. And so that's the responsibility of the client, to decide, who am I going to go to and what do I need?